Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and explain a little bit about section 12.3. So section 12.3. So get your paper on the notes on section 12.3, and this is going to help the ones who were not here yesterday, so that way you get a better idea as to what you need to do about rotations when you are on the coordinate plane, okay? So the first thing we need to know is that positive rotations occurred in which direction? Counterclockwise, that's right. That occurs on a counterclockwise direction. And you can go ahead and put this on your notes, please. If you don't have that on your notes, put it on your notes. So counterclockwise, which means that if you have the coordinate plane, you start at this point, which is 0 degrees, and then you go in this direction like this. So the first axis, it's at 90 degrees. The second, which is the x-axis, that would be 180 degrees. The third one would be 270, and then you're gonna land at 360 degrees, okay? So if you go in that direction, that is positive. So that is positive rotation. Negative rotation occurs in which way?
Clockwise.
Clockwise, okay? Rotation. And it's in a clockwise direction. So if you have the coordinate plane, you start at the 0, that's still 0, but then it goes in this direction. So the angles would be negative 90 on that negative y-axis, then it's negative 180, then this would be negative 270, and this would be negative 360. So notice that angles could be coterminal. And by coterminal, it means that they terminate on the same position. For example, here, when we talk about a point that is at negative 90, well, that is the same thing as being positive 270. Okay? If they ask you for a point that is on the negative 180, which is over here, well, that is the same thing as positive 180. Okay? And also, if it's positive 90, which is on the top, well, that is the same thing as negative 270. And now we have some rules that you have to follow to determine what are the points at a certain angle. Okay, so let's talk about those rules. There are 3 rules that we need to make sure we know, and we need to make sure we go through that. Okay. Okay, you guys. So just a quick review of the rules of rotation. When you rotate over 90 degrees, you're going to change the y sign, and then you're going to flip the point, okay? The x and the y. The x and the y flip around. When you rotate at negative 90, so 90, it's this way. This is 90. If you rotate at negative 90, that means this way, that's negative 90. But also, that is the same thing, the same coterminal point as 270. So this is 270, and this is negative 90. So they're both the same position, okay? It's negative 90 and 270 is the same rule. So what you do is change the sign of the x, and then flip x and y, and that would be rotating at negative 90. And rotating at 180, so 180 is when you rotate this way. This is 180. You just change the signs of the x and the y, and that's it. So that's basically the rules that you need to make sure that you understand. Now understand, because on the quiz, I'm going to write the formulas for you. So you just need to make sure that you know how to use that, okay? So I'm going to go over these problems 5, 6, 8, just to make sure that you understand those problems. When you turn in the assignments for 12.3 and for 12.4, make sure you have the notes. Yes. So make sure you have the notes on both sections, 12.3 and 12.4, and you're going to turn in the notes with the assignment, okay, because I'm checking both of them. So take a look at number 5. Did you get that? On 12.3, this is for rotations. We did those already, right? Okay, so then I just want to, recap on this. When you rotate over 90 degrees, what was the rule for the 90 degrees? Change the sign of the Y and then flip X and Y. That's right. So notice that here, the sign of the Y was 1, positive, so you change it, so it's negative, then you flip it. Positive Y, so it becomes negative, and then flip it, so it's -4. And then plot both of them. The way you can check, just double checking, the way you can check rotations is you put the patty paper on top of the problem, mark a little bit of the Y and the X axis, plot the points, and then put the pencil on the rotation point, rotate the paper once, and you're going to get that transformation, okay? That is at 90 degrees. Problem number 6 is at -90. So what is the rule for the -90?
Change the X and then flip it.
Change the sign on the X and then flip it. So that would be Y, comma, -X. So you change the Y, well, the X, in this case, is like -4, change, that would be +4, and then flip it, so it's 2, 4. Change the sign of the 1, good morning, and then flip it, so it's +1, 4, 1. Once you plot the points, see, these are the points. Something that I'm noticing on the assignments, on the homeworks, is that you're not listing the prime notations, the points with the prime notations, and you're not listing the points at all. So you're gonna have some points off. Another thing that I'm noticing on the problems is that you're not differentiating between the original, the pre-image, and the image. The pre-image doesn't have any, prime notations. The image does have prime notation, so make sure you have that on your papers, okay? And the last problem that I'm covering is problem number 8. And what is the rule for 270? Well, you
Change
the X and then flip it around. This is the same thing as which one?
-90.
At -90. It's exactly the same one. So you change the X sign and then flip it around. It's positive, becomes a negative, and then flip it around. Positive becomes a negative, positive becomes a negative, and then just plot the points. Again, make sure you plot the points without the prime notations, plot the points with the prime notations, okay? And then let's go over the section 2.4. So get your notes on 2.4, please. So we follow those signs, okay? We use the formula -x, -y, because that's the formula for the 180. And then we just change the signs of both of them. So 0, 1. For B is -3, -4. And for C is -1. -3, -1. Okay, now let's continue with the second transformation, which in this case is, let's reflect it across the x-axis. So let me put up here, reflect across the x-axis. So think about that. This is the x-axis. If I have a point on the top, if I reflect it over that line, what is going to change? The y. So then the rule for that needs to be that I'm going to go ahead and change just the y, right? So the x stays the same, but the y changes the sign. So you're going to continue with the points at 180, okay? So my a double prime should be, you just change the y sign. So it would be 0, comma, -1. What about b prime? Change the y only. That would be what? -3, 4. And then the c double prime should be -3, +1. Now let's go ahead and plot those points. Let me give you a minute so that you can plot those points. That's what you have right now. You started with the black one. You rotated about 180, so that means that it goes this way. So it turned into this here. And then this is reflected, and when you reflect this over the x-axis, the points are reflected the bottom to the top to the bottom. So that's what the answer is supposed to be. Okay, so any questions about number 3? No? So this is basically the one about doing two transformations. First, rotating and then reflecting. So do not use the original points when you do the second transformation. Use the points that you just did on the previous transformation and then continue. Okay? So in number 4 and last one. Here they want us to reflect. In problem number 4, it says, first plot the points. So let's plot the points. 2, 1. This is Q. R is at 4, negative 2. That's R. S is at 1, negative 3. You connect those points. This is the original problem. Then reflect across the y-axis. So label that. Reflect across the y-axis. So what's going to change if you reflect across the y-axis, which is this one? What's going to change?
The X.
The x. So the x is going to become negative x. Okay? So the points, let's go ahead and get q prime. See, the x is 2, so that would be, what's the opposite of positive 2? Negative 2, and you keep the y the same way, which is 1. What about r prime? That should be what? Change the negative 4, and the y stays the same, which is negative 2. What about the s prime? Change the x. Negative 1, and then it's negative 3. So that's the first transformation. Let me plot those points. Negative 2, 1. That is q prime. R is negative 4, negative 2. That is r prime. And s is negative 1, negative 3. That is s prime. So this is a reflection across the x-axis. Now let me reflect it across the, let's see, translate along the vector 1, 3. So translate, the vector is 1, 3. What it means by 1, 3 is you're going to add 1 to all the x's and 3 to the y's. Okay? So my q double prime, negative 2 plus 1, negative 1, 1 plus 3, do you mean 4? Right? R double prime. Okay, so what is negative 4 plus 1? Negative 3. What about negative 2 plus 3? That would be 1. And then S double prime. What is negative 1 and 1? 0. And what is negative 3 and 3? That would be 0. And now let's plot those points. Negative 1, 4. And then make sure you label that Q double prime. R prime is negative 3, 1. This is R double prime. And S double prime is 0, 0. Then you connect the points. So all of these points were translated 1 unit to the right, 3 units up. So 1 to the right, 3 up. 1 to the right, 3 up. 1 to the right, 3 up. So this is a final transformation. And that's it. Okay? So you always use the previous transformation that you just did. Any questions about this? Okay, well, at this point, you can go ahead and work on both assignments. If you turn in one or both of them by today, you get the extra points. Both of them are due tomorrow before the quiz. You turn them in. I'll go ahead and go over questions before I pick it up. And the review, it's used as an extra credit assignment. So if you didn't do like 12-1 or 12-2, you can do that, and I can use that to replace one of those 2 assignments. You don't have to do it, but I would like to go over that before I give you the quiz tomorrow. Okay? Any questions? Okay, well, just try your best. And I'll be here after school today, and I'll be here after school tomorrow for tutoring, okay? If you want me to help you with any of these sections, or if you want me to help you to correct the exam, okay? So plan for that, guys.